strict line of the ceiling beam is emphasized and parallel to the floor beam can be seen, which reveals a house which is compact and pressured. High-angled diagonals depict the house as if it is spilling its interior to the garden. Characters are depicted as if they are clinging to the house, not to fall into the garden. The abrupt end of the house also creates a floating effect, as if the house is in motion, unbounded from the environment. We could see landscape scenes on sliding panels, framed three-dimensional depictions, some of which are left open to reveal Nakanokimi reclining. Neo, on the other hand, sits in both the room and veranda that symbolizes his do love attempts. The autumn wind sways the grasses in the garden and the curtains of the house. This resembles the emptiness and isolation of the scene, also bonds interior with outside. The curtains have depths, although the house depicted with flat diagonals. The house as a whole comes forth in the flat surface of the garden, as if it is unbounded, but the wind connects them with the emotional states of the characters. This is an entangled depiction of interior and exterior, as if opening the limits of house and merging with the garden. And in conclusion, Fuki-Nuki Yatai creates many layered narration of time and space by shifting and deforming the architectural elements. It enables many focuses and aspects for the viewer readers to experience the multiple layers of story. Meanwhile, because characters are depicted with emotional spaces, architecture is explicitly used for narration. The house is depicted with many layered diagonals. Rooms are omitted or walls are transparent to reveal the emotional states and to express suspended moments. Yet this complex framing device is not two-dimensional or three-dimensional. It's the swinging of back and forth through dimensions. The house is abstracted as a notion of this technique, only to reveal the narration. In each illustration, houses shifted into limitless interior, where no beginning or end could be seen. The boundary between outside and inside is blurred. Each character clings to these unbound surfaces with their emotional isolations. Thank you.
I wonder about your theoretical framework to analyze or interpret the space in. Can you hear me? Okay. Just wonder about your theoretical framework to that you use to analyze and interpret the spaces in the illustration in relation to that literature. I mean, what kind of the theoretical framework that you use to interpret that? Okay, this composition symbolizes like this.
I was really interested in how a way of representation in one single image can express all the scenes and many times in the story. And they simply abrupt the architectural elements to express this one, because they don't use any facial expressions, but they simply cut the roof or cut the beams to show that there is something bothering them. So that was very interesting. I was very interested in it because it somehow relates to the 20th or 21st century's art that you see in a very old scroll. It was very interesting, and the the understanding of Heian period is somehow can be seen in this illustrations, because they communicate with poetry, or they communicate with colors in their clothes. So it's very different than now, and illustrations also are very different.
And have you seen any solid connection to the illustration and the way they perceive space in the illustration and literature to the real traditional Japanese houses? Yeah,
actually, I'm a beginner in Japanese, so I'm trying to learn how they address such as living room or bathroom or kitchen. So it's like the presentation in Thursday, I guess. It was about the traditional Japanese house, how it's asymmetrical. So it was somehow the answer of it, because they don't define spaces with strict boundaries. So it always shuffles. And the illustration also removes inside and outside distinction. So it's somehow parallel. And it's parallel to their way of understanding, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to, I mean, I don't know your main interest or what kind of topic that you really want to pursue more, but I mean, if you want to look at the way that Japanese traditional houses were used, or how the Japanese perceived it, I think it's really interesting to link it with your literature and illustration. And but because I'm doing historical research, so I mean, in my mind, I just have a question about how you interpret. I mean, if because I know your field is not historical research, but I mean, for me it's just interesting to see that how you interpret it, and that's why I asked about theoretical framework. Because, for example, if we ask a Japanese, even today or in the 13th century, it might be also interesting to see that how did they actually think about the way they compose that, probably different from what you interpret as well. So that's just a historical point of view. Yeah.
Well, it's another topic, but I'm now researching about Islamic painting during the same century. So now it's only in the beginning, but it's totally different than their way of expressing special extensions. They only use some symbols, but not trying to shuffle or change the architectural elements. But I'm in the beginning. Maybe I will find something later. I don't know.
Thank you very much. If there are no more questions. So as you know, that was the very last session of the ARCHTHEO conference. So it was great to host you here, and I think we had some very, very exciting sessions and presentations. I hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you very, very much for your understanding in regard to the conditions of the university. Hopefully next year we will have a new building in many cases. So we'll be in touch. We'll be sending you some more emails. First of all, the contact details of all presenters, of all authors with biographical informations. And secondly, the presentations are going to be available in YouTube. Well, actually, the recordings are not technically perfect, but nevertheless, we will put them in YouTube, and we'll for sure send you the links. And also the virtual presentations that we couldn't show yesterday because of time limitations. They will be also available in the website. So we'll be in touch, and hopefully we'll meet in another conference very soon. Thank you very much for attending. So bye.